All right, fire it up, footballers. Fire it up. James and Jiggly coming here at you right after the Montreal and Chicago Fire game. Montreal Impact have defeated the Chicago Fire 1-0. And that's the second loss in a row, right? Because they lost to NYCFC.
Yeah, I think we lost. Yeah, we probably lost.
I think we
lost.
What?
At this point, I just assume we lost.
I watched the game, but they're just so ugh. So yeah, well, let's break into. We could kind of talk about the last game with NYCFC, which was a horrible, horrible field.
And we played again on a horrible, horrible field this time.
Another horrible field with just not a lot of grass, a lot of it being yellow, but a little bit better than Yankee Stadium, at least as far as the parameters.
Well, yeah, in the size, it's better than Yankee Stadium, but in terms of the pitch itself, it was bad.
And the other thing is they're missing Ignacio Piatti. Nacho Piatti is out, and the Fire were unable to take advantage.
I feel like it's less about that. I think that even if they had Piatti, if we played in the way that we should be playing, we could have won this game. And instead, we put out players who have no business being in the starting 11 right now.
I think you're talking about Campos and Corrales?
Well, Campos, I like Campos, and I know that he is not being played in the correct position. And so we're playing him at right back. He is not a right back. If we're expecting him to be a right back, we shouldn't be.
Yeah, it's a lot to foist upon him. But then also you have Corrales, who got taken advantage of, just exposed once again on that goal.
It's so weird because I'm looking at WhoScored.com, and they're saying that Corrales was our second performer, like second place performer for the team. He is not, absolutely not. He has a 6.8 on WhoScored.com for the game.
He's had a couple of those games where he just has like lights out Audi index because he knows how to dribble and he could advance with the ball forward, take advantage of a few guys. But then he gets eviscerated like mincemeat sometimes on the defensive end. We got the PG1 asking, is this the right stream? Yes, it is. Welcome to PG1. Welcome everybody in the chat. Smash that like button, by the way, everybody. You could follow us. You could find us on Stitcher and iTunes if you're looking to download us instead of having to listen to a long YouTube. Check us out on Stitcher and iTunes. Spitting Fire YT. We got Jiggly here talking about sorry to get that business out of the way, but this more crap from the Fire, and it's starting to become part of the course. And when you're looking at their standings and Paunovic's standings, this is all we really should expect, I feel, and it's really silly of us to expect anything different.
I've said for I think a couple of seasons so far that we have a team that can win. We have a team that can make the playoffs. I don't think we have a coach. It used to be I don't know if we have the coach who's going to take us to the playoffs. Now I know we do not have the coach. But even then, I was thinking of making this as a running joke throughout the game, but saying like, oh, it's okay. It's Mitrovic's first game as coach. Still, it's the entire system that they have set up with Mitrovic follows Paunovic's orders because he's the assistant coach. Duh. I think that the entirety of Pauno's staff should be cleared out at this point.
Oh, wow. I wonder what everybody else thinks. Put your comments in the comments below. Comment in the video. Let us know. Should Pauno stay or should Pauno go? Is it time to pull the plug on this? I was saying that we should have pulled this plug last year. I know quite a few people were also saying the same thing. And we were all surprised when Paunovic was handed what was a contract until 2020 with an extra year option at the end of that. But here is Paunovic's record. 7 wins, 10 draws, 17 losses in his very first season with the Fire, 2016, which we can chalk that one up to. He had a bad roster, not a lot going on there. Really only had David Accam and Michael Harrington as his, legend, as his guys. Campbell. I mean, he had people there that were, but just not really an effective team. His next team, 2017, 16 wins, 7 draws, 11 losses. That was his winning season. That's when Basti came into the fold. 2018, he had 8 wins, 8 draws and 18 losses. And then this 2019, he started off with 2 wins, 3 draws, and 4 losses. What this is just a lot of losses. I believe the Fire Eagle people tweeted out this was his 50th loss today.
I can't even count. I think somebody tweeted out the exact number a while ago, but I cannot find it.
Well, the fact of the matter is it's just far too much. Oh, we got some people here. We got Dago and Northwest Dans and Jeffrey. Let's see if we got the comments. Pauno out, Nelson out, Hotman out. Northwest Dans saying Nelson out, Hotman out, right with you, man. And then Dago saying, there you have it, the trifecta. And then Jeffrey, our other Spitting Fire host, he's just not here today. The writing is on the wall that Pauno was. The writing was on the wall what Pauno was years ago. An experienced gaffer that is learning on the fly. An inexperienced gaffer that is learning on the fly. He is too reactive and not proactive. The PG1 says, seems like they aren't just finishing up top. Although they're not up there much, it seems. Seems like they're not just, seems like they're finishing. Okay, finishing, he's saying.
That maybe that's something that can't be blamed on Pauno, but I think that our playing style, we look to be trying to be counterattacking. We're trying to hold possession in the back. We should not be doing anything in the back line. We do not have a back line that can handle it. We have Bastian back there. So, I mean, that's who we have that can pass it out. Marcelo was looking good early in the season with passing it out. Kapelov can pass it out. But it's apparent that we have an attacking team. We should not be focusing on making our defense do all of the work. I feel like we need to put all of our offense and keep the ball in their end. That is the only way we can win. And I think I've said this before with how that's the only way that we can really win is if we keep the ball in their end.
Well,
we're not going to be able to handle it very well in the back.
I think you nailed it. I mean, this is a top heavy team. So you want the ball where the top heaviness is at rather than the ball where the weakness of the roster is at. It makes no sense. You want the ball up in Katai with Gaitan up there. You don't want the ball back by Basti and Gutjar and Campos and Kapelhoff, who filled in for Marcelo today. We got some comments. Tourney coach, gonna tourney coach from Slow Days. Dago saying, it feels like there are no lines of communication between defense, midfield, and offense. That is the real big issue. There really doesn't seem to be any connection between the defense, the midfield, and the offense. Like there's 3 separate zones with no connection between the 3 as far as the offensive ideas. More comments. Remember that Nelson signed Pauno to a multi-year contract. Don't think we're going to be seen fired before the end of the season. That things really go upside down. And
I think that at the end of the season, Pauno will be fired. Nelson's not going to be the one to fire Pauno. It's going to be Mansueto who fires Nelson and also fires Pauno. And they're going to bring in somebody new. I don't know why Mansueto hasn't quite fired Nelson yet, because Nelson is going to stick with Pauno until the very bitter end.
Yeah.
He tacked his life onto Paunovic. He said that they were soccer soulmates, even though they were not. That Pauno is not Nelson's first choice as a coach. His first choice was Tab Ramos. Tab Ramos did not sign on. So he got Paunovic and then said that he was his first choice, said that he's their soccer soulmate. And now we're stuck with a coach that is immune. He's immune to being fired. He's immune to any sort of what's the word here?
Criticism? Responsibility. Yeah, it's you look at this team and you're like, you see the 2 outside backs that he has to play, and that's not on him. That's on Nelson, who provided. Look, when this season started, he looked at Jorge Corrales as your reserve outside back, and into the season he got replaced by Gutjar. Now into the 7th or 8th game of the season, because Raheem Edwards is out and Gutjar wasn't able to play, they're relying on this.
Able to play. Gutjar was on the bench.
Well, they're relying on this Corrales guy once again, who we just know is just USL level. He's not good enough. This also reflects poorly on Nelson. This whole thing, the systemless coach that we have here, as Jeffrey says, in Pauno, and the systemless general manager in Nelson Rodriguez, all of them got to go. And the only way we get rid of Paunovic is by getting rid of Nelson, and that has to come from Mansueto. You're right. I think you nailed
Northwood's
it.
Dan for reminding me of the word accountability. That was the word I was looking for.
Mm-hmm.
With Nelson as GM, Pauno will see no accountability from the upper management because Nelson is going to keep him around until he's gone. And I think the very it's a very interesting thing to look at because Nelson was paid a big bonus when Mansueto joined, when he brought in Mansueto as the 49% owner. And if Mansueto takes over the club all the way, is Nelson going to stay on because of that? Or is he going to be, I'm trying to think, like, why would Mansueto keep around Nelson? And for right now, the reason why I'd keep him around is so that Mansueto can make sure. I'm sorry, there must be construction going on in my neighbor's house or something. But he's probably just keeping him on in order to see, okay, what exactly is he doing wrong? Trying to find different people around the country who he thinks that might be able to come in and fix it. I don't exactly know why we keep around Nelson right now, but at the end of the
He's
season or
keeping
by
people
the end
away.
of the season, I think both of them are going to have to be gone.
It
I
kind
think
of
both of them have to be gone.
they have to be gone
Nelson,
now. Yeah.
when Nelson re-signed Pauno, he was talking about keeping up consistency. You know, you don't want to change things too much too often. They've been around going into a fourth season now. Where are we? We are doing
Sputtering.
terribly.
Sputtering.
So this isn't something like, I don't know, Frank DeBoer, his first couple games as coach of Atlanta United, getting yelled at like, "Oh, you're not you're not a good coach." Well, it's his first time, his first season. Let him finish out his season. You guys had an amazing coach there for the first ever coach of your existence in MLS. You had an amazing coach. You had amazing players. You've lost some of those players. You're gonna be fine.
Frank
With the
DeBoer.
Fire, we have dealt with these two people for 4 years,
And we know what they
and they're
are.
still here.
We know
We
what they
know
are.
exactly who they are.
And
We know
that's the
exactly what
thing.
they do.
You're absolutely right. When you look at Frank DeBoer, he's got 2 wins, 2 draws, and 3 losses in his very first season as the Atlanta coach. You know what? 2 wins, 2 ties, 3 losses. He's still putting things together. That's a lot of talent there. You could give him a little time. Paunovic has had 4 seasons. This is his 4th season. And what we see is a tactical mess of just jelly. It's just so loose and gross and sticky and slow, and it's everywhere, and it's all clunky, and nobody wants to clean it up.
It's on everything.
And it gets on everything. It's just awful. It's like sand or jelly, or it's both worse together, because now it's unedible.
It's like glitter.
Now it's unedible, and it's going to wear down your teeth. That's what it's doing. It's eroding the teeth of these fans, metaphorically.
We need to figure out a better metaphor, but we're on to something here.
Yeah. I don't know what you guys think in the chat. Northwood's Dan saying, we barely saw any accountability with Yallop. Look how long that went on. And then Dago saying, the only way I'm giving Pauno a short lease is as if they somehow miraculously beat LAFC. And we know that won't happen. Last year they did miraculously beat LAFC at the end of the season.
That's what I'm saying.
It doesn't matter. We're past that.
We're able to get dumb wins. That's the thing. We're able to get that. We can show signs of life. It's about whether he continues to do it. The game against Colorado, yes, it's against Colorado, but we did exactly what we needed to do. That's why we scored 4 goals instead of just like maybe 1 or 2. That's why we scored 4 instead of 2. With Gaitan in the middle, we were playing with the ball forward. We were not going from, playing out the back. We were doing things the right way. And then we instantly go back around and do things the wrong way again. It's about consistency. They're talking about consistency. They're talking about consistency in management. I want to see at least consistency in tactics, consistency in the way that we play, consistency in winning. And so if we're not going to be able to do that, then you're done.
Well, let's kind of put a nip in the bud in the Pauno conversation, because I feel like honestly we could make the whole stream about it. Just because
I'd be fine with that.
It's just that bad. Paul Revere would have been coming down the pathway 2 seasons ago, saying we're screwed. We are so screwed. Get a new coach. It's just. It's well past time. We need new ideas. There needs to be new ideas. These guys, these Fire players, they work hard for them, and that's great. But then they go out there and they work hard it's not working smarter. They're just working harder. and it's not conducive to winning soccer. It's a high wire act from start to finish. Look at today. They did produce quite a few chances. They couldn't finish it. And now is that how much longer are we just allowed to think that's okay? Is that the coach? Is that the players? It's a little bit of both.
So over
it's
the
the coach not having the
of,
great system, and they're not putting the players in the right place to have success continuously.
I believe, yes, he is at 50 losses in the league, because I'm looking at this, and apparently it has also US Open Cup, so we can assume 3 US Open Cup losses. It says 53 losses, so this was his 50th league loss, I believe.
Soccer Eagle has this. Nelson Rodriguez's career as an MLS GM, 63 wins, 34 draws, and 111 losses. That's 1.02 points per game. Paunovic is
that includes a very trash New York, New Jersey Metro Stars team. Legendarily trash team.
Oh no, shouldn't does that include him when he was in charge of Chivas as well?
Probably.
Mm-hmm.
So he's only been in charge of bad teams.
Garbage. All right, you know what? It's just time for us to start calling it what it is. Garbage. Garbage, garbage, garbage. I have another thing. I called out some fans earlier a couple days ago, kind of saying, like, what is with Chicago Fire fans? Like, how come they don't know how to support the things that matter? And I definitely got some awesome, great feedback from all sorts of sides. People saying, like, hey, why are you calling out fans? And, we don't have time for this and all that. And then also people are like, where are the passionate fans that should be calling into the Fred Hubners? Where are the passionate fans that are?
So from my standpoint, I've been around the Fire since I was born. I was at Soldier Field. I still have vague memories of Soldier Field. I don't think I have much memories of Naperville, but I was there. I just have horrible memory. And I've been around since the beginning. And I think that there's a lot of people who are just done. They're just done with this all. We saw an amazing team when the Fire first came out in 1998, won the double. They were amazing at interacting with fans. There was so much engagement there. They had players who the fans could actually could relate to, and they would talk to each other. That's why there's plenty of people, you see on Twitter, all of these former players who are friends with all of these old fans. They can't really handle this team anymore because not only is that interaction gone, but we don't even have a team good enough to care about. And it's so frustrating to see this amazing team at least for me, to see this amazing team from
with 20 years of history. With 20 years,
we have 20 years of history, and that sort of thing is especially exaggerated with recently suggesting tearing down that history. A lot of those older fans are talking about how a lot of what Nelson has done, at least specifically Nelson, is throwing away the history of the club. It's almost erasing it. There's a lot of talk about, he doesn't exactly follow tradition, honor, passion. There's talk like, God, it may have been just before Nelson. It may have been just before Nelson that's the Fire was taking away lines from Section 8, and Section 8 had to work on like getting a lawyer and trademarking, that sort of thing. So it's not exactly just Nelson. It's something that the club has almost been just trying to forget the past. And it's not good to dwell on the past, but when it's one of the only things that we have, it's really hard to explain that away. When we've had so many horrible seasons, we don't try to celebrate the past.
The passion just gets eroded over time. And that's where we're at right now, it really seems like. And that's why nobody is calling in or calling into the radio stations to talk about how bad the Fire are. It's just like it's been drilled into a lot of these people just don't care. Like, what's more important? The Chicago Wolves. They're more important to the Chicago sports scene than the Chicago
Red Stars.
Chicago Red
Stars, who won today.
We're awesome. They are so good. They're so fun. It seems like ownership really doesn't care about the fans at all, says Dan. Dago says they tried this season to engage with events like the jersey release and the hotel party to kick off the season free of fans. But I feel as long as Nelson and Hotman are related to the club, no one's going to come. That's the other thing. It's just like they've eroded so much goodwill.
There's a lot of people who are still angry about there's a lot of people who are about to make a big sigh right now when I'm going to say this. There are people who are still angry about the editorial.
Yeah, well, I got called out about that.
They're calling out the player. They're calling out the fans. They're saying that the fans are not showing enough support when there's very much a lot of things that we've seen recently that the team doesn't care about the fans.
They're just shooting themselves in the foot every day. They're like, oh, Section 8, we don't need to support them. In fact, let's let a charge go against one of these fans, and we're not going to help exonerate them, even though we have the information. They have all these things. They're just so anti-fan at every possibility. And they think the fans don't notice.
So there's a difference between a fan and a supporter. So supporter is what we are. Let's just say that. Supporter is what we are. Someone who is very engaging with the club, who cares about it, who will go on Twitter, yell about the team, and will come back every single game and will support the club. A fan is kind of what they want. Someone who doesn't really care, is going to show up, just going to go get drunk, have a nice time, and then go home. Doesn't care about what happens on the pitch. They're just there. They want more fans. They don't want more supporters. They want to move supporters away.
Oh, that's a great point. And that's why they're like, we don't need the Chicago Fire history. Let's just make a new one.
A lot of people call those sort of people like tourists, but if they can get Chicago is a big enough market
that you should be able to get those
market that you could get tourists consistently.
And Dago says it. This club just does not care about current fans. Nobody will buy in. They need such a big overhaul. It's clear to us. And I got a little upset. I got a little jaded because I'm like, that's what I was calling. I was a little upset. I'm like, why is nobody paying attention to the Fire? We have all this great content. We're talking with these awesome, cool people from the Sun-Times, from the Tribune, who write for MLS, who write for Athletic. And just nobody cares. Nobody cares.
Yeah,
and it's not that about us. It's just the product, the Fire. Nobody cares about them.
Dago once again saying that they just want a new fan base. Yeah, absolutely. That was the point of the potential rebrand. They don't care about the fans that are already here. They don't care about the fans who fell in love with the Chicago Fire of 1998. They care about bringing in hipsters. They care about the people who care about Europe. They want to bring in Premier League fans who say that MLS is trash until they find out that their team that's in the city is named City instead of Fire. It's very dumb, and it's something that I think that Minnesota United has done it well. Has done well engaging with fans. We see the team really goes out of their way to communicate with the fans, with dark clouds, with balloons. And we see that in Portland, the Portland Timbers, they communicate with their fans very well. In Chicago, the team used to be very, very open with the fans and with everything. There used to be meet the team events. We didn't have a meet the team event last year. We had a very recently we've just had very autograph centric meet the team events. Nobody exactly cares about going and talking to players anymore. When I was a kid, I played skee ball with Zach Thornton. I played air hockey with Peter Novak.
That's awesome.
It's this sort of thing where you want people to genuinely feel something with the team. So, as I said, this past year, the Fire didn't have a meet the team event, but the Red Stars, I got to go bowling with Yuki Nagasato and Casey Short. I mean, that is fan connection. That is bringing in fans to care about the team, to care about the players. You know, I got to go bowling with one of my favorite players on the team. And for the Fire, I don't even know who any of these people are anymore. We have had so much turnover recently. And that's another thing involving Pauno and involving Nelson, with how much turnover they've had over the past few seasons. Talking about consistency, the only consistency is in who's in management. There's barely any consistency on the pitch in any way possible. And
to the point where all pundits, us, the fans, and the jury's out. The jury is so out on this. It's nothing new.
I mean, there's spots where we needed improvement. And you know what? And in goal, I disagree with my colleague Adnan at MLS Multiplex. I disagree with him. I think Usted is a major improvement at goalkeeper.
Dude, Usted is lights out. He might be one of the right now. He's playing like a top 5 goalie in all of MLS. I don't know did you see that penalty save? That dude's a brick wall right now.
But there's also stuff like on the wing. We had David Accam. Then we got rid of him. Then we didn't have a winger anymore. It's that sort of thing where there's places we had a guy who could turn into a great number 10. We had Harry Shipp traded away for nothing. I'm talking about this about all of what Nelson's been involved with throughout his entire time with the Chicago Fire. I don't think he's done anything that's truly great for the Fire. Bastian Schweinsteiger is a wonderful signing, and he was great for one season. And he may still play well, but for one season, the entire team was lifted up. For one season, the attendance was up. Everybody was there. Everybody cared about it. I was still in high school at the time. People were there were teachers who didn't know anything about soccer. They just knew that I cared about the Chicago Fire, and they said, "Hey, I heard that you guys got this German guy, and he's really good." That's the sort of thing where I was really excited because people cared about it. And then nothing after that. We did nothing with it. We pissed away a playoff shot by trying to play a high pressure system against a 5-man backline, which does not work. We did that and we lost 4-0. There's just so much that this team has been unable to do, and it seems like there's no accountability in this. Yes, consistency is great, but accountability is better. And if you do not show results, then you should not be getting anything out of this.
And well, here's the other thing. You're right. Results are the ultimate proof in the pudding that, the evidence that you need. I do see some things that are like, signs that there's something here. The Fire were able to produce a lot of chances. They were in the top 10 for quite a few metrics and offensive stats going through the first 8 or 9 games. But it's just the eye test and everything else. It doesn't look like they're ever going to piece it together. It looks like it could be pieced together. I don't believe Paunovic is the one to do it. Let's get back into what you're saying about Basti here. Basti is what a quality, great person. What a great player to have on your team. But first of all, he's not taking the captain's armband. What's that about? Dax is the captain always, and Dax took a little head knock in the game. Looked like he took a bow to the face. I think he's okay. But Basti was not a good move. It was a great move for 1 year, and the last 2 years it has been not a good move because the dude does not have the legs. It's like that experiment with the Frank Lampard and Steven Gerrard, where you get a world-class guy, but the legs just aren't there. And what's poor about Basti is that his legs aren't there even less. This guy was never a speed demon, and now he's even slower. He's got great mental ability. He's got great soccer IQ. But that's what he's being relegated to because he just doesn't have the physicals. And that's what you need from a defender. You need someone who's got more of the physicals and the speed. And the dynamicism that he has is just not worthwhile as a $7 million center back. Can you hear me, Jigs? Uh-oh. Did I lose Jigs? Can you guys hear me? Take a look. The problem I have with Basti is that if he's playing defense, we are way overpaying for him at the same time. He's been great on defense this season, and we'd be even worse without him back here. But I mean, would we be worse without him back there? Because that's $7 million that could be reallocated into 2 or 3 different positions. And the other thing is that when Nelson went into the season, he started the season, the dude only came in with 2 defensemen to begin with, Marcelo and Kappelhoff. And now we're going to count Bastian. He went into this whole season. Nelson decided to just not worry about the entire defensive back line, and that's what is screwing this team. it really hurts Paunovic and what he wants to do. And then all we're left to do is just take swipes at this guy who's really trying to do his best to make things work. And it ain't working because of the pieces he's been handed. Northward Stand. I suppose we could have played Del Greco. What a horrible signing from Nelson. This is garbage. Uh-oh, Jiggly lost me. Can anybody hear me? Uh-oh. Reconnect. Let's see. Cancel that. Jiggly. I think we're getting close to here to end it anyway, but I think we got him. End the call. Yes. End call and rejoin. All right, Fire fans, get your last questions and comments in here. I'm going to close it down here with Jiggly in the next few minutes because this is garbage, and this is going to be garbage for the rest of the season. And honestly, you could put the pin in it right now. Right now. You could have put the pin in it at the beginning of the season and told you what you're going to get at the end of the season. You're going to get a crap-tastic season of a middling franchise that is okay with mediocrity, that accepts mediocrity. Some of the players on the team don't want to accept mediocrity, but you have a coach there who does. You have a GM there who does, and a president who does accept mediocrity. And right now, you have two owners who accept mediocrity. Guess what? Jury's out on Mansueto. Accepts mediocrity. This is what he accepted and decided to go to the season. As clueless as he's like, oh, I'm clueless go to the season, so I'm going to stick with what works. Well, guess what? It didn't work last season. You had the ability to figure out something new, and you also had the ability to go in and try and hire somebody new who you could maybe trust. Somebody like an Eric Winalda, someone who isn't just a yes man, someone who is like a Peter Wilt, who knows what needs to be done and isn't afraid to go do it. Looking to see if Jiggly is rejoined. Anything? Not hearing. Let's try and get him again. Let's see if I can send this to Jigs. That's. All right, folks. Let me take a look at the old live chat. And we're going to probably shut it down here. So. Northwoods Dan. So where do we go from here in terms of the rest of the season? It's the same. It's going to be just this real up and down ride that we stay hovering right around 9th, 10th, 11th. I mean, let's take a look real quick at the MLS standings. You got a struggling Atlanta United, who you think will probably figure it out. FC Cincinnati, probably where they should be. New England, probably where they should be. Those are the 11th and 12th teams in the East. Both very bad. New England's just bad. Cincinnati's not good enough. New York Red Bulls, I think since they've lost Adams, they're just going to be unless maybe Thierry Henry comes on and maybe gives them a little bit of a reason to have a resurgence. New York City, they're really not a good club. I really don't think they have all that much talent. That's just me. Orlando City has Nani, and I think they could get stuff done there with him and Sasha Kljestan and Dom Dwyer. I mean, they have more than enough talent to try and get that stuff done. That I think is better than NYCFC. Columbus with Porter, it's a great experiment. I think it's going to be fine. Toronto with Pozuelo is going to be fine. And Altidore and Bradley, totally going to be fine. Philadelphia having a great season right now, putting it together. Montreal Impact are in second place with 17 points without Nacho Piatti from the last 7 games. That's pretty darn surprising. And I don't know how much longer that's going to last for them, but awesome. DC United in first place with 17 points, tied with Montreal Impact with Wayne Rooney, who would have been amazing to get. So fire below. They're awful. This is going to be pretty much every game is going to be a little freak out on Twitter of how horrible these decisions were and how questionable these lineup calls were from Paunovic and how there's nothing is the same from week to week. It's just going to be the same thing because this is what we said last year. This is what we were talking about last year. This is not new. There's nothing new under the sun when it comes to Paunovic and Nelson Rodriguez. They're not good enough. They aren't going to be good enough for this season. If they win a trophy, it's going to be a miracle. If they even make the playoffs, that'll be the miracle. I think it's about it here, boys and girls. Any last comments? It's a shame we lost Jiggly. Almost, I don't know what happened there. A little bogus. Bunk. YouTube isn't working for me either, so it might be a problem on Jiggly's end. Well, there it is, folks. I think we're going to end it. Thanks for joining us. Have a great one. We'll see you guys next time on another episode of Spitting Fire. It is crap. It's just not good enough. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below in the video. Please smash that like button. Check us out on Stitcher or on iTunes if you want to download the show and just make it a little bit easier for you to consume. Give us a rating on there. That always helps, and really helps when you smash the like button. Share the podcast. Share the discussion. Talk about this with your friends. Talk about the fire, because the only way we can spread the fire is by talking about the fire. Call up Fred on a weekend. He always is on the radio on Saturday and Sunday. Give him a call. Talk about the soccer. Talk about fire. I know Fred's willing to do it. I know Lawrence Holmes, 12-2 on 670. You could probably get through there. Just send him a tweet. Say, hey, I'd like to call and talk about the fire. You down? And maybe they say, oh, try. Okay. But that's the only way we could really do it and talk about the fire. Otherwise, this stuff is just going to die. Right now, this is just the trajectory is a horrible comet heading to the earth, and it's almost there. And are we either going to see the impact that we all know is coming, or they might be able to send out that Armageddon ship and finally save the day? But as we know, that's a Hollywood movie, and it's crap. All right. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Thanks, PG1. Thanks, Northwood Dan. Thanks, Slow Days. Thanks, Dago. Thanks, everybody, for joining. Thanks, Jiggly, for hopping on real quick last minute, and Jeffrey also for hopping on and joining us. Thank you, everybody, and thanks for watching After Fact. Smash that like button, share. We'll see you guys later.